What's up, y'all? It's DPG. Long time no see. I'm about to tell y'all what happened in 1 Kings chapter 2. So David is now very old and close to death. So he calls Solomon, his son, and the new king of Israel in to give him some advice before he leaves the earth. And he tells Solomon that he should always seek after the Lord God with all his heart, and that he should follow the requirements given to them by Moses, because if he does, the Lord has promised to always keep a seed of David on the throne of Israel. And then after David gives Solomon this great advice, he now gets down to the business of revenge. So he tells Solomon to make sure that Joab, the former commander of the army who joined Adonijah in his rebellion, that he should not be allowed to become an old man. Because he killed two of David's former commanders, Abner, the son of Ner, who killed Joab's brother after Joab's brother Amasa had chased him down. Abner gave him the opportunity to turn around, but Amasa would not. So Abner was forced to kill him. And so Joab then killed Abner later in cold blood. And then Amasa, his own cousin, he killed in cold blood. He stabbed him in front of Amasa's own men. So David tells Solomon to ensure that Joab pays for his sins. David then tells Solomon to ensure that the sons of Barzillai always have a place at his table, because of the kindness that he showed him when he was forced to flee Israel because of his son Absalom's rebellion. Lastly, David asked Solomon to arrange a bloody death for Shimei, who is a relative of Saul, who cursed David after he was forced to flee the city because of his son Absalom's rebellion. David did promise not to kill Shimei, but that promise does not extend to Solomon. So David asked his son to take his revenge for him. And then David dies and is buried in the city of David after ruling Judah and Israel for 40 years. So now, with the death of David, Solomon is king, but his oldest living brother Adonijah, who believed that he was the rightful heir to the throne and had already tried and failed to make a claim to the throne, goes to Bathsheba, who is Solomon's mother, and asks her to ask Solomon to allow him to marry Abishag, the girl from Shunem who took care of David at the end of his life. So Bathsheba agrees to go to Solomon and ask if Adonijah can have permission to marry Abishag. And when Solomon sees her coming, he greets his mother and he bows down in front of her. And he has his servants bring out another throne for her to sit on. So Bathsheba asks Solomon if Adonijah can have permission to marry Abishag, and Solomon gets very upset. He said, "How could you ask me such a thing? You might as well ask me to let him be the king too. He already is the oldest son of David that's still alive, and he already has the support of Abiathar and Joab." So Solomon vowed then that Adonijah would surely die. And he called Benaniah in and ordered him to execute Adonijah. And so he went out and did just that. So Adonijah was executed. Solomon then calls in Abiathar the priest and has him removed from his position. But he did not have him put to death, because Abiathar did carry the ark of the Lord for David when David was exiled by Absalom. So once Joab heard that Adonijah had been put to death, he ran into the Lord's tent and grabbed onto the horns of the altar. When Solomon heard that Joab had grabbed onto the horns of the altar, he sent Benaniah there to kill him. And Joab told Benaniah that he would not come out. He would not let go of the altar. He would have to die there. So Benaniah goes out and delivers this message to Solomon. So Solomon tells Benaniah to do exactly as Joab has said and kill him right there and then bury him for the sins that he committed when he killed Abner and Amasa, to remove the sin from the seed of David and place it rightfully on the seed of Joab. And so Benaniah goes to the tent of the Lord and he does kill Joab there at the altar. And then they bury Joab at his house in the wilderness. So Solomon then appoints Zadok to be the high priest and then Benaniah to be the commander of his army. Afterwards, Solomon had Shimei brought before him. So Solomon then calls for Shimei to be brought before him, and he tells Shimei to build a house within the walls of the city of Jerusalem. And he tells him that he is not going to be allowed to leave the city. He says that if you leave the city for any reason, you shall surely die. Shimei says that the sentence is fair and he will do whatever the king commands. So Shimei lives peacefully in Jerusalem for 3 years. And then 2 of his slaves run away to the city of Gath. And Shimei hears of it, so he saddles up his donkey to go and retrieve his 2 slaves. And he finds them and brings them back to Jerusalem. Once Shimei returned to the city, however, Solomon sends for him. And he asks him if he remembers the oath he made 3 years ago to not leave the city for any reason. And then he asks him if he remembers the way that he treated his father when he had been forced to flee because of Absalom's rebellion. And then Solomon has Benaniah come in and take Shimei outside. And Shimei is put to death. And that is what happened in 1 Kings chapter 2. I'll see y'all next time.